Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy says he remains open to restarting dialogue with President Donald Trump. This following their heated Oval Office meeting on Friday, you probably saw. Over the weekend, European leaders rallied around Zelenskyy, with France and Britain agreeing to draft up their own peace deal between Ukraine and Russia. NBC's Vaughn Hilliard has more on that fallout.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy saying he would be open to restarting dialogue with President Trump and is ready to sign a critical minerals deal with the U.S. This after Zelenskyy turned his focus toward more than a dozen European leaders.
This is a once-in-a-generation moment for the security of Europe.
French President Emmanuel Macron and British Prime Minister Keir Starmer announcing today they will now work on a draft Ukraine-Russia peace proposal.
We've agreed that the UK, France and others will work with Ukraine on a plan to stop the fighting. Then we'll discuss that plan with the United States.
The meeting comes after Friday's contentious Oval Office exchange.
You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio saying the U.S. hasn't communicated with Ukraine since Friday, and two White House officials tell NBC News Trump is considering withholding any future military and financial aid.
That's what Zelenskyy did, unfortunately, is he found every opportunity to try to Ukraine-splain on every issue.
The contrast in Europe's approach stark. Starmer saying he told Trump by phone this weekend about Europe's plans to now take the lead in initiating a deal. A spokesperson for the Kremlin in remarks published today hailing Trump's skepticism of the current world order, saying, quote, "The new administration is rapidly changing all foreign policy configurations. This largely coincides with our vision." Democratic Senator Chris Murphy blasting the White House's handling of negotiations.
Now the White House has become an arm of the Kremlin.
Meanwhile, Vice President Vance's ski trip to Vermont drawing hundreds of demonstrators, some holding Ukrainian flags in support of the country. Americans now also fractured over the path forward, as some congressional Republicans increasingly question Zelenskyy.
Either he needs to come to his senses and come back to the table in gratitude, or someone else needs to lead the country to do that.
Well, following that emergency meeting Sunday, the UK announced billions in support for Ukraine. The Prime Minister vowing to support Ukraine and allow the nation to negotiate a peace agreement from a position of strength.
Through my discussions over recent days, we've agreed that the UK, France and others will work with Ukraine on a plan to stop the fighting. Then we'll discuss that plan with the United States and take it forward together. The purpose of today's meeting was to unite our partners around this effort, to strengthen Ukraine and to support a just and enduring peace for the good of all of us. Our starting point must be to put Ukraine in the strongest possible position now, so that they can negotiate from a position of strength.
Well, it is still unclear when President Trump and President Zelenskyy will meet again.